It was a typical evening, and once again, YN found herself sitting alone on the couch, watching the hours pass by without Jungkook coming home. He had been working long hours at the company, his focus solely on his career, leaving little time for their relationship. Dinners grew colder, conversations became shorter, and moments that were once filled with love now echoed with loneliness. YN clenched her fists, the frustration building inside her. She had tried talking to him multiple times, but Jungkook's responses were always the same. Just a little longer, it's a busy time, I'll make it up to you. But he never did. Enough is enough, YN muttered to herself, an idea forming in her mind. If he couldn't see how much his absence hurt her, then she'd make him see. It was time to take things into her own hands. She decided she'd prank him, make him think she was seeing someone else. Just a little push to make him realize how much he was neglecting their relationship. But when Jungkook finally came home late that night, YN was unprepared for how things would spiral out of control. The next morning, YN set her plan into motion. She left her phone unlocked on the table, making sure a series of fake texts from a supposed friend were visible. Jungkook glanced at it, his brow furrowing slightly, but he said nothing. It was the same detached expression he'd worn for weeks now. "Who's Daniel?" he asked casually as they sat down for breakfast. YN forced a smile, stirring her coffee nonchalantly. "Oh, just a friend I met recently. We've been hanging out a bit." Jungkook's gaze darkened momentarily, but then he shrugged, his attention shifting back to his phone. "That's nice. That's it," YN thought bitterly, biting back her frustration. She was expecting at least a hint of jealousy or concern, but he seemed completely unfazed. The ache in her chest grew deeper, but she continued with the prank, determined to get a reaction. Over the next few days, YN continued to drop hints, mentioning Daniel in passing, smiling at texts that didn't exist, and even leaving the house in the evenings, claiming she was meeting him. But Jungkook's responses were lukewarm at best. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. "Jungkook," YN started one evening, her voice trembling. He looked up from his laptop, raising an eyebrow. I think we need to talk." He closed his laptop slowly, giving her his full attention. "Okay, what's going on?" YN took a deep breath, her heart pounding wildly. I've been seeing someone else." A deafening silence fell over the room. Jungkook stared at her, his expression blank, almost unreadable. She expected him to shout, to question her, to show some sign of anger or betrayal. But instead, he just smiled, a cold, distant smile that sent shivers down her spine. "Is that so?" he asked quietly, his tone calm. YN's resolve wavered. This wasn't the reaction she had imagined. She nodded slowly, trying to keep up the facade. "Why yeah, I've developed feelings for him, and I don't think I can." "Well, that's convenient." Jungkook cut her off, leaning back in his chair. "Because I've been in love with someone else for a while now too." YN's heart stopped. What did you say?" Jungkook chuckled, his eyes flashing with a mix of amusement and something darker. "You heard me. I'm in love with someone else. I didn't want to tell you like this, but since you're already cheating on me, I guess it doesn't matter." "You're lying." YN's voice shook as tears welled up in her eyes. "You're just saying that because I said. Does it really matter?" Jungkook's smile widened. "We're both moving on, right? You have your Daniel, and I have her. It's only fair." YN felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was supposed to get his attention, not push him away like this. "Fine," she spat, her voice thick with pain and anger. "If that's how you really feel, then I'm leaving." Jungkook didn't try to stop her. He just nodded, as if this was exactly what he wanted. "Go ahead, I'm sure you'll be happier with him." With tears streaming down her face, YN stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. She didn't know where she was going, but she just had to get away, from him, from everything. She wandered aimlessly through the city, the pain in her chest growing with each step. It wasn't until she found herself at a small park, the rain beginning to pour, that she collapsed onto a bench, sobbing uncontrollably. He didn't care. He didn't love her. He was really in love with someone else. "How could I be so stupid?" she whispered to herself, hugging her knees tightly. She had pushed him away, and now she was all alone. Few minutes later, and the rain soaked through her clothes, but YN didn't move. She felt empty, broken. The prank had destroyed everything she cherished. "YN," a voice pierced through the rain. She looked up, her heart clenching painfully when she saw Jungkook running toward her, his expression frantic. He stopped in front of her, panting heavily, his hair and clothes drenched. What are you doing here?" she whispered, wiping at her tear-streaked face. "Shouldn't you be with your girlfriend?" Jungkook's eyes softened as he knelt beside her, his hands trembling as he cupped her cheeks. "YN, listen to me. There's no one else. There never was." YN blinked, confusion clouding her features. "What? I was pranking you too," he confessed, his voice filled with remorse. "I knew you were joking about Daniel. I could see it in your eyes. But I wanted to get back at you. I wanted you to feel what I felt when you said you were seeing someone else." Her heart tightened. You knew." Jungkook nodded, his gaze pleading. "Yes, and I'm so sorry. I didn't think you'd take it this far. I was just so hurt that you'd even joke about being with someone else. I thought you didn't love me anymore." A fresh wave of tears spilled down YN's cheeks as she shook her head violently. "I did it because I thought you didn't care anymore. You've been so distant, so focused on work that I felt like I was losing you." Jungkook pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as she sobbed against his chest. "I'm so sorry, YN. I never meant to make you feel like that. I've been such an idiot, letting work take over everything. I should have been there for you. I should have." "Why did you say you were in love with someone else?" YN interrupted, her voice breaking. "That hurt more than anything." He sighed softly, resting his chin on top of her head. "I wanted you to hurt like I did when you said those things. But it was stupid and cruel. I should have just talked to you instead of playing these games. You're the only one I've ever loved, YN. I was never in love with anyone else." YN pulled back slightly, searching his eyes for any sign of deceit, but all she saw was sincerity and regret. Slowly, she lifted her hand and placed it on his cheek, her thumb brushing away the rain and tears. "Promise me you'll never do something like that again," she whispered. Jungkook leaned into her touch, closing his eyes. "I promise. No more pranks. No more lies. Just, let's be honest with each other from now on, and you too, okay?" She nodded, her heart finally beginning to mend. "Okay, I love you, Jungkook." A smile, small but genuine, curved his lips as he leaned down, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead. "I love you too, YN. More than anything." They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other's arms as the rain poured down around them. All the misunderstandings, the pain, the pranks, they were washed away, leaving only love and the promise of a new beginning. YN sniffled, wiping the last remnants of tears from her cheeks as Jungkook held her close. His warmth provided comfort, but she wasn't ready to let him off the hook so easily. I'm not going to forgive you just like that, Jungkook," she muttered, pulling back slightly to look him in the eyes. "You ignored me for 3 weeks, made me feel like I wasn't important, and then had the audacity to joke about being in love with someone else." Jungkook's lips tugged into a small, sheepish smile as he rubbed the back of his neck. I know. I really messed up." He gently took her hand, bringing it up to his lips for a soft kiss. "Please, YN, I'll do whatever it takes to make it up to you." YN huffed, crossing her arms defiantly. "You better be ready for a long list. I'm not going to let this slide so easily. You can't just say no more, my lady," Jungkook interrupted with a mischievous glint in his eyes. He leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a low, flirty tone. "Tell me what you want, and I'll make it happen." YN paused, her heart skipping a beat at his sudden shift in demeanor. Then, a thought struck her, a way to make him work for her forgiveness, but also to have some time alone with him. "Take me to Italy," she demanded, trying to sound serious despite the excitement bubbling inside her. Jungkook blinked, then broke into a wide grin. "Italy, huh, consider it done." He stood up, offering his hand to her with a dramatic bow. "As you wish, my love. Anything else you'd like? Paris after? A private yacht tour? Your wish is my command." YN couldn't help but giggle at his theatrics, her heart finally feeling lighter. "We'll see, but Italy first. And you better spoil me like never before." Jungkook's eyes sparkled with adoration as he pulled her into his arms. "I'll spoil you like the queen you are. Let's make up for every single second I missed." With that, he sealed his promise with a playful kiss on her nose, leaving YN blushing and smiling despite herself.